Okay, now for part 2 of our learning target 3 stuff, talking about percent of change and being able to find that. So now we want to be able to involve proportions with some more kind of like labels or context to them. So here I want to be able to set up and solve a proportion for the given situation. So it says Hugh's boat used 5 gallons of gasoline in 4 hours. At this rate, how many gallons of gas will he use in 10 hours? Okay, so I'm looking to make a proportion here. Okay, now when you make a proportion on your own, you want to keep both ratios like as the same kind of like pattern. So if you're like Hugh's boat is used 5 gallons of gas in 4 hours. So since you're talking about Hugh's like boat and gallons of gas to hours, you kind of want to keep that kind of like ratio kind of talk there. So, and it doesn't matter which one goes on top or which one's on bottom, but maybe you just kind of pick one. So I would say maybe 5 gallons of gas would make sense to go on top, and then in 4 hours, it kind of lends itself to that kind of ratio. So then on the other side, you should keep it the same as well. So it should be gallons over hours. Just so you're always speaking the same thing. So if you're saying miles per hour, you put miles on top and hours on the bottom. If you were talking about boys to girls, you could either do one or the other, but if you do girls on top and boys on the bottom, then you do the same for the other one. If you do it the other way, then you just got to keep it that ratio, or shoes to hats or whatever you're talking about, okay? So that's kind of the idea of a proportion, is that both ratios make sense to one another. So it says at this rate, how many gallons of gas will he use in 10 hours? So you don't know how many gallons of gas. So because you don't know, and they're asking how many, that means that it would lend itself to be a variable. So, but then it wants to know how many in 10 hours. You know that number, so you would put that in. So there's your proportion. So then now I want to be able to multiply across, or cross multiply like we've been doing. 5, and this would be a good one just to multiply by 10 to both sides too. But 5 times 10, and then 4 times x. 5 times 10 is 50. 4 times x is 4x. 4 is times x, so I need to divide both sides by 4. And then 50 divided by 4 would be 12.5. Now here, because you have context to it, you need to have a label attached to it as well. So 12.5 gallons. And then that would be my answer. Okay? Now here's where our percent of increase and decrease is going to come in. So here I want to be able to determine the percent of increase or percent of decrease. Okay? So what we're going to do to determine that is by subtracting the original amount from the new amount. So it's going to look like new minus original. Remember that subtract from is one of our like subtraction ones that is minus but switches the signs. Positive number means that it's a percent increase. That just means your new one was larger than the original. Negative number means it's a percent decrease. So it means that your new was smaller than the original. Okay. So an example here, I have 25 coats. I have now 30 coats. So then I would take the new minus the original, which is 25. So 30 minus 25 gets me 5. So then because it's 5, or a positive number, it means that it's a percent increase. Okay? So here at the bottom, I want to determine whether each percent of increase is or percent of change is a percent increase or decrease, and then I want to be able to find the percent of change. So that's where that previous formula that I gave you before, so that was the absolute value of change, so the change between the two. So this thing that I did right here, that's the subtraction you're doing, divided by the original, and that's going to equal the percent over 100. Okay, so usually with these, since we're going to want to find the percent is going to be represented as a variable, okay, because we're not going to know it, more than likely, unless they give you the percentage change and want you to find something else, but those will be a little different. Okay, so here the original, so I take the new minus the original, so then that gets me 3. So it must mean that I'm percent increase. Okay, so then I'm going to take that 3 and put it into my formula, because that's the change, divided by the original, and then that equals the percent over 100. I don't know the percent, so it's x. So now I want to take the absolute value of 3, which is 3. Remember, that's always positive. And then I want to cross multiply. So 3 times 100, and then 20 times x. 3 times 100 is 300. 20 times x is 20x. I'm going to divide both sides by 20. So here, x would actually equal 15. And then because we're talking about percentage, I want to attach a percent there. So 15%. And then that would be an increase, as we stated up top. And that would be my final answer. Okay? Next one. So same idea. So 17 minus 25 gets me negative 8. So that's a percent decrease. Okay. So then I put that in my formula. Now remember, an original is on the bottom, so that's 25. Okay. So then here, absolute value of negative 8 is 8. Okay, so I want to cross multiply. 8 times 100, 25 times x. That gets me 800. Divide both sides by 25. So x here would equal, let me look at my notes, sorry, be 32. And then because we said decrease, be a percent decrease there. Okay. Here, 12.1 minus 9.8, that is 2.3, so it's positive. So a percent increase. Okay. Do the same thing. So plug it in to my absolute value. My original is 9.8 this time. So we cross multiply, or absolute value of 2.3 is 2.3. Then we would cross multiply. So 2.3 times 100, 9.8 times x. 2.3 times 100 would be 1, 2. So it'd be 230. And then I want to divide by 9.8. So then here, x would equal 23.5%. And if it's a decimal, then just round it to the 10th. That's kind of what I did here. And so because we said it was increase, that would be a 23.5% increase. Okay. So now we kind of want to be able to apply it to a problem with context. So this problem says that I can do 3 push-ups without taking a break at the beginning of my workout. Now I can do 18 without taking a break. What is the percent increase? So here it's already telling you you're increasing. So you don't have to state that. They just want to know what the percent is. So my new is 18. My old or original is 3. That gets me 15. So it should be positive. Absolute value of 15 over the original of 3. So absolute value of 15 is 15. Cross multiply. Okay, so 15 times 100 would be 1500. Divide both sides by 3. So here, x would be 500. So here would be a 500% increase based on that. Okay? Have fun.